what I've went through after my divorce, when things happened and it was just ugly as hell. I walked away without anything. I had really a zero bank balance. Some family members supported me, some didn't support me in my decision. It was heartbreak. I didn't have a place to stay. I had to figure out stuff. And literally you sit there and thoughts run to your head. Do I commit suicide? Do I ask for help, for money? And I'm one of those people that struggle to ask for help. I made it. I used what I could from a salary, carried on educating myself. I did a postgraduate diploma, I did a master's degree, I paid for it myself and met my boyfriend, sold everything, moved with my mom to Portugal. I also realized, you know what, I chose the marriage. The marriage has ended. I can't run away from the situation. And I'm happy to talk about it. Like, I'm not shying away from the fact that I'm divorced. It's not something I'm ashamed of. It's something that I went through. It's something that can happen to anybody, be a person, your family, my family. I mean, for me, I find that so common in our communities where, we see it on ZTV, the mother-in-law is fighting with the daughter-in-law and...
I can't watch those things.
It's not the kind of things I love. I can't stand it. I always say, how can we change that? Because how do we change all of that there? Like, that shouldn't even be it. If we're marrying into families, we've got to remember that our partners also come from families. Sometimes we've got to also step back and also build that relationship. I think we don't take the opportunity to build relationships, but we're happy to jump in and judge. And that's what we grew up with. And also, we can't forget our family, our friends, and only concentrate on the relationship. I think sometimes also some relationships, it's like our partner must be our parents in some way or form. They must be the child that we look after. They must be the best friend. They must be the girlfriend. They must be the, everything.
Everything.
It's too demanding.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Zen and Now. And today I'm joined by Bhavisha Patel, longtime friend. We go back varsity days. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Kish. Thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. And I do feel like we need to talk about what's going on in relationships, especially in our generation, because we're seeing a lot more divorces happening. And I feel like sharing my story will hopefully help somebody out there.
Yeah. You mentioned that you've gone through quite an emotional roller coaster of life challenges. But before we get into all of that, the light side of stuff, we met at university, going on those days of the Wits bus, just creating memories of, good friendships and real long-term relationships in that way, because we reached out to each other just this year, no? After how many years it's been? I think 20 plus years.
Yes, definitely a long time ago. And I don't think we would have ever imagined us in this boat right now.
Yeah.
Back 20 years ago, we were on the bus. We were really young. We were youthful. We were busy partying, enjoying Wits university days. And it definitely brings back a lot of really good memories of how we met each other. And I don't think we would have thought 20 years later we'd be doing a podcast talking about, hey, we adulting.
Really? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
for sure, adulting. To use that word adulting now, right where we are right now, it just shows how quickly time flies. And acknowledging that those moments shaped us to who we are today. Who is Bhavisha right now compared to the Bhavisha of, say, 20 years ago?
Wow, a very, very, very different person. I do have a lot of similarities in terms of I'm still that very kind-hearted person. I'm still learning on my journey how to completely say no when I want to say no. That people pleaser in me. I'm just very helpful. And the person that I am now, much more matured. I am much more aware of what I want as a person, who I am. And I've gone on a long journey. I'm a Gallup strengths coach. I teach people about life. I connect with individuals to, I feel like I've got the knowledge and skills, and we don't talk about a lot of these things. And so many people are struggling with so much because of the times we are in. And I've built a lot of these skills. I worked in HR, and I also do a lot of charity work. So I'm involved in the Kliptown Youth Program in South Africa. And that's really me, a person I'm very proud of. I'm on the board of directors there. I'm coaching people. Last year, I moved to Portugal, living a whole new life. Met an amazing person. We've been dating for 6 years. So I'll take you through a bit of my journey. And you're so right. Like, I don't live with regrets. I'm glad I went through what I needed to go through in life. It's definitely made me a stronger person. It's made me a kinder person. It's given me a lot more empathy for what people go through in life. It's given me perspective of what adulting is about. And it's a learning journey. And I think sometimes we're also very hard on ourselves. And we've got to remind ourselves that it's okay. There's going to be really tough times. And the honest truth is we all go through tough times. We all go through those really tough times, but it's how we handle it that determines how our life plays out. And I think that's my journey. And that's what I want to share with people is that you can go through really big failures in life, but that doesn't determine who you're going to become. Your past doesn't determine, a situation doesn't determine, what someone says about you doesn't determine who you are. It's you that need to determine who you are and what you want to be in life.
Yeah. And that's just self-respect. It's not disrespecting anybody else for putting yourself first. And I put out a post yesterday about people pleasing. Like myself, I went through some challenging times in my life and just wanted to fit in because I think from my primary school days, I didn't have to do that. I was very confident. My self-confidence was really high. I was thriving and I was performing even within the sports arena, even academically. I was doing really well for myself. And then everything changed when I got to high school because then life happens. You become a teenager, your body changes, your mind changes, perspective of life changes. And that mix of everybody coming into one institution with those things going on is a recipe for disaster because yes, some people thrive and some people are taken advantage of in that situation because we all come with our own baggage into one silo, so to speak.
Yes.
So we're fighting with each other for dominance or for acceptance. But sometimes there's just some that are just at a little bit of they feel that they're at an elevated level and they can treat people disrespectfully and those kids then have a miserable time like me. Like I was bullied in school.
Yes.
It was very hard, challenging because self-confidence took a major dip. And then you feel it. You go through life not being as confident as you were. But thankfully, I then expressed those emotions on the sports field because there I felt I was more accepted than I was from my peers from school. And that's where I feel we need to learn how teach the next generation how to express themselves in those situations and standing up for themselves, not disrespectfully. You don't have to raise your hands and be violent.
No.
You can do it in a way that makes that other person say, hey, you're being a bit disrespectful now, and I'm not going to tolerate it. You set up boundaries and that's it.
Yes.
And there's
yes.
no non-negotiables.
Yes, I've learned that you can be assertive with still being kind. A lot of the times when I'm in situations where I feel like people are pushing their weight in, I remind myself that, you know what, this is not something I'm standing for. And I'll be like, I need to excuse myself. Thank you. I'm not comfortable with this.
That's
and it's
healthy.
okay to say it. I've done it in a lot of times. I think my marriage and my divorce and my life growing up felt a very strong woman, and I realized you don't have to be aggressive. You don't have to use abusive words. You don't have to be ugly. You can do a lot of things with respect. A simple thing like I get messages on social media that I don't feel are appropriate, and I can literally tell the person, as a woman, I don't feel comfortable with this message. And if the person tells me, oh, there's nothing wrong with it, and I'll be like, well, that's the way you feel, but I feel it's inappropriate. I think your wife would feel it's inappropriate.
Yeah.
And then, like you can tell people, no, you don't have to shout at them. You don't have to call them names. You don't have to be rude to them. It's something that I've learned over time. And also, we've got to realize, like, when we're dealing with people who are individuals that are willing to listen, willing to change, willing to talk. So, getting into my marriage and growing up, when I was growing up, I grew up in a really awesome household. I've got siblings, I've got two brothers. My mom and dad were quite close as parents. My dad was a priest in our community, so we were quite strict. And in Indian households, girls are generally more protected. And my dad was quite easygoing with me, but he was very strict.
Yeah.
And I think in communities, we grew up as being very strict. Yes, the priest kids were the naughty kids. From time to time, my younger brother was the only one. He was very different, and I think he must have seen the two of us. Me and my elder brother were always out like partying, having a good time. But we had a really good childhood. We didn't come out from a wealthy home. My dad, I think, because of being a priest in our community, he was very forgiving. So one thing that he always said to us as kids is, you must always smile and always be nice. And it was good. It was a good thing to leave us with. But it also wasn't a good thing in the sense that you can't always be nice.
No.
You can't always tolerate, and you can't allow people to walk over you. So yes, growing up, we were always nice. We were in the community. We knew everybody. We were very respectable. And then I got into a relationship. Luckily, my dad and them weren't like overly strict back then. We used to hide our relationships and so on. And I had a Hindustani boyfriend, and my dad actually accepted him, which was really nice. And I got to know my dad a little bit more as well, because at that time when you're young, your parents think they're gonna live forever. And luckily, in the years just before he passed on, my boyfriend was very curious. He would ask my dad all about the religion and all of that. So I got to also learn a lot more, and we also had a lot more serious conversations, because I used to also challenge my dad as a female, like, why is it that life is so unfair for girls and guys get to do all these things? And that was just me, like, always challenging him. And I think it was also good because I knew where he was coming from. He grew up in a home with a lot of sisters, so it was always, I'm protecting you kind of thing. And that's what we do. Like, we protect each other, but protecting each other, it doesn't help so much when we're out in the real world. And I'm grateful we had those conversations. I'm also grateful that I had to still go out and work at a young age. So after high school, I started working part-time to pay for my university and enjoy those lovely bus trips, and our partying and drinking at university. I could pay for it myself.
Thank God for no social media.
Oh my God, like, definitely.
I was just, every time that comes up, you're like, thank God there was not enough evidence.
Exactly. Like, I'm grateful for that. And you know what, for us, like in our homes, it wasn't even acceptable to drink. So, some Gujarati homes, you're not doing that, and that is really frowned upon. And now, obviously, it's a bit more acceptable, but it took a long time to get to that point of acceptance. It was hide and seek for a very long time. And then I actually had a really nice boyfriend. We dated for 5 years. I got engaged, and we used to just really enjoy life a lot, like partying and going out and clubbing. And my dad passed away. Like, it was very sudden. He was just 54 years old. He passed away of a heart attack. No one prepares you for that. Nobody. And at the time, my brother was in the UK. So, you're sitting there thinking, wow, I'm the eldest overnight.
I've got to sort everything out now, right?
You've got to sort it out. You can't sort of even get in the emotion of you've lost your father, because you're thinking of your mom. You're thinking of what do you need to do next. Like I said, he was a priest in the community. So thank God, everybody pulled together. My uncles, my brother flew back. It was just a very big change, but then it was adjusting to life. And I had to grow up with responsibilities, the change of lifestyle. I found it hard to relate to my boyfriend at the time because they were still enjoying life and it just didn't work out.
Yeah. First of all,
Um,
sorry that you had to go through that. It's not easy. Loss is not, it's not something people prepare you for, especially grief,
yeah.
on how you actually navigate that process. And I'm sure for yourself, being the eldest now, not being the eldest, so to speak, because your brother is
Mm,
still the eldest, but you now have to take over those reins. And when you go through something like that, you got to adult very quickly, and you don't know how to, and nothing prepares you for that. But that's also a way of challenging yourself to see where you are in life. How are you able to get to manage that situation?
mm,
uh, it's not to say that there's something wrong with you if you can't, because nobody prepares
no.
you for that, and that's okay too, because we put so much pressure on ourselves to be perfect, do the right thing all the time. And something I want to go back to, where you said how girls and boys are treated differently in homes. I can attest to that, because in my home, I got a little bit more free reign than my two elder sisters did. And that's just the honest truth. I got the opportunity to go out and play cricket, play soccer, go out with my friends. I was given the responsibility of a house key when I was very young. So I do attest to that. And I wish more in that time, like my parents would trust my sisters a little bit more to make the right decision. Not they're not gonna always they're not weren't gonna always make the right decision, but just also give them probably the same reign that I had, or same rope that I had. But that's just how the dynamic was back in the day. And yeah, and when we go into our relationships going forward, we think we know it all, because you have that free reign, but sometimes you just need to be coached in a way. And we were talking offline, and we mentioned something about counseling, premarital counseling, how
Yes.
important, or
Yes.
pre relationship counseling, how important
Yes.
the Christian community do that. They go to camps, like workshops, before they
Yes.
actually get married, and
Before
then
they get actually married. And
yeah,
it's something nobody prepares us for when we get married. Couple of years later, I met my ex-husband. We actually knew each other from back in the days, and it was a very rushed relationship as well because now we old, like older, and everybody's getting married. We prone to that society where you get married, you have children. So we think we're doing the right thing. We're rushing into this. Nobody actually sits you down and say, listen, this is what's marriage about, where you're actually going to take on a lot more responsibility. But also, we're young and we think we know it all.
yes,
We
because
think we know it all. We think our parents don't know nothing because we looked at their marriage and like, oh, they didn't know what love was because we didn't see them holding hands, or they didn't know. And we thought that a marriage is about, just this romantic side of life where we can survive on love. We've also, I don't know if we could call it delusional or something, because the music we listen to, the Bollywood movies, the Hollywood movies, we think marriage can just survive on love.
yeah, it's
And
one part of it, but it's
one
not
part
all
of
of it.
we probably thought, what our parents didn't get it 100% because we didn't see them holding hands. We didn't see the emotional side, but we also didn't see how much they took care of us.
Mm, exactly.
And marriage becomes so hard when you now realize, hey, we're so excited for the wedding. Hey, we're preparing. Us Indian people, we like the Geet night and that day. It's like a Bollywood movie really playing on. Some of us also create financial debt from the wedding. And then we're starting our marriage off with that financial debt.
With the negative, yeah.
So already, like, we're not thinking about, okay, 5 years from now, where are we going to stay? Some people haven't even decided what they're doing afterwards. And for us, we actually bought a place. We scaled down on the wedding because we had to pay for it ourselves. And we focused more on the after, which was great. But after the wedding, was almost like a 360 where now we're grown ups, we're supposed to be very matured, and we're supposed to handle life. And no one prepared me for that. I don't think anybody prepared him for that as well. As Indian homes, male dominance, he's taking over the house, and it's like, this is what we're going to do. And I'm like, okay, but times have also changed. I'm also contributing because I've educated myself. I'm coming in. I'm not just here to cook and clean.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm also like, you know what? I'm also not a very conservative Indian woman. Like I'm not your very
Traditional, yeah.
traditional.
Yeah.
And you see, the thing is, sometimes we get into marriages with the potential of what we see in people and how we're going to change them to what we want.
Exactly.
And
That's the wrong way we look at it. It's not about changing.
it's not.
It's not about changing or you wanted that person to change for you, because you didn't fall in love with that person to change them. You fell in love with that person for who they were.
Exactly.
Yes, we can grow. We can
grow up together. Change has to also come naturally.
exactly. Yeah.
I've got to want to make the change in order to make that change. And I think there was just a lot of expectations and a lack of communication. And we also didn't know how to handle conflict as well. There was a lot of aggression. I was the people pleaser. So I was thinking love is sacrifice. Let me give up everything. I mean, really, some of our parents would just accept this. Like they accepted hard times. This is marriage. Marriage is hard times.
Yeah. Because
we taught that.
Yeah, exactly. We think what we see is normal. And when you step out of that realm, then you kind of question it. Okay, this is not normal. What was I thinking?
Years later, like after my divorce, when I went for therapy, when I expressed, because I also am a person that internalizes a lot of things where I take the blame for every single thing.
Same,
literally, my marriage ended. It was just years of acting like we're getting through things. You know, you have a conflict, you commit to changing a behavior. The next day we wake up and we think the behavior has changed and we just sweep it under the carpet and we continue and we think, and then the next time the fight happens, that same behavior occurs and then we get angrier with each other. And then there's also the punishment reward system where, you know, if you're doing what I tell you to do, you will get a reward. Or if you're not doing what I'm telling you to do, it's a punishment. Or, you know, it's those kind of things. Like you just don't know how to handle it. So it just gets worse instead of better. And even if we're proposing solutions, if one person doesn't give into the solution, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Like at some point, you're going to realize it's not going to work. And then, as sad as it is, and I'm sure women would attest to it, we eventually just become numb. And we may have left the relationship 2 years before it even ended.
Yeah. Say somebody is listening to that right now and they're currently in that situation. Any advice you would give to either male or female in that situation or anybody in that realm right now? Just one small thing.
I think some things that we taught in our relationship is not to share our problems. If you've got a really good trusted friend or even a parent, I think sometimes, you know, something that I felt was so difficult for me was there wasn't much people I could really talk to. I requested, let's go for therapy, but that wasn't something the person, it's two people. If you really want to save that marriage, you know, it's two people. And we're so afraid to talk about our problems because we don't want people to know we're going through it, right? Like for me, a lot of the times I was so afraid to talk because I was in university, this very confident person. I was getting my way in life. And now this is happening to me. Like in my head, I'm still not believing that it's happening to me. And the advice I would give is there are people ready to help you. I would say even if someone is going through it right now, reach out to me. I'm happy to talk to people, share my experiences. But at the end of the day, you've got to come to the point of being honest with yourself. Like sometimes also we are part of the problem. We are part of the problem. Like for me, if I had to go back, I could definitely handle conversations better. I didn't know how to. I really didn't know how to communicate. I couldn't communicate my own needs. So, if you're struggling with that, like, we've got to be honest, like, I contributed just as much as he contributed to the end of the marriage. By being that, yes, people pleaser, I just then built resentment that then turned ugly. I bottled up a lot of things. I mean, 2 years into our marriage, I got really sick. I started getting abscesses and I had to go for 8 operations and I'm still not 100% cured.
8?
It doesn't go away. Yes. And that was bottling things up. I mean, I don't talk a lot about it, but it definitely impacted my health and I can't get my health back. And, you sit there and you think, I was also the cause of so many things. And as I went through my relationship, I could have, like, after the relationship, I felt like a lot of it was me. And when I went for therapy, as I got through a lot of things, there was also a lot on his side. And, the way we speak to each other, I was at a point where, it was just ugly. Like, you can't face, your home should be your safe space. Your partner, you should have that psychological safety with them. You should be able to be vulnerable. You should be able to be intimate, and not intimate in, the bedroom
Physical
stuff.
side, yeah.
Very, very vulnerable. Like, I can talk about the most embarrassing moments with my boyfriend right now. We can talk about things that are hurting us. We can talk about things that happen to us, and that's the way it should be.
And not be judged, right? And that's
judged and not even
that's
fear.
a good relationship, yeah.
I had a lot of fear in me because you know how it is growing up. When someone screams, someone shouts at you. I mean, even in my own household, that's what my dad used to do. He used to shout at us, like, as kids growing up, that's the way kids are going to listen. But as adults, being shouted at and sort of building that fearful relationship where I can't even tell the person I love what's going on because I'm scared of being judged or not understood properly or not being heard as well. Like, I mean, that already is
something that
really,
something that triggered me as well when you said, when you went through your physical ailments. I have a picture that I keep as a remembrance of the time when I was in major depression. I didn't acknowledge it. I didn't want to acknowledge it, but I keep that picture as a reminder because that picture tells a story. I've shared it on social media, not because I want clicks or views or empathy or I want people to feel sorry for me. No, I shared it because a lot of people will attest to that, because your physical body changes, your mental state changes. Like a simple thing, when I was in depression, my taste palette changed. I was more of a savory person. I started craving, those chocolate covered peanuts?
Yes.
I started craving those. I didn't understand why. And then as time went on, when I was in the hospital and I was sitting with a psychologist, she told me straight up, you are in major depression. And I asked her, do I look depressed? She's like, yes. Because we don't acknowledge that we're going through something like that. Because we think we're managing life fine, but we're not. But it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It's just that you need help. And to ask for that help is strength.
That is exactly it. And to understand, what's pushing us. Like, for me now, I'm so aware of my triggers. Like, my health comes first. As soon as I feel like I'm getting into that space where I'm not liking myself, I'm doing things that are not right, or I'm people-pleasing mode, automatically my body screams out loud to say, you're heading down the same path. And for me, it's whether I like it or not, I can't people please anymore. I can't go into stress mode. I can't do any of that because I am guaranteed to get sick.
Before we jump back into today's episode, a quick favor. If you're enjoying the conversation, please take a moment to subscribe, follow, and share this podcast with someone who could benefit from it. And if you haven't already, leaving a rating and review helps us reach more people and continue bringing you meaningful conversations each week. Thank you for being part of this community. Now let's get back to the episode.
Hey, Baba, we are in our 40s. We got no time for that.
Yeah, I know. Like, I always say to myself, I'm not doing, like, my hospital visits are over. I'm not doing that. And I don't care. I'm not putting myself through any amount of stress, whether it's for work, whether it's for relationship, whether it's for, like, even moving to a different country. I knew it was going to be stressful, but I knew how to manage my stress. And, you learn to understand your body, but we shouldn't be going through all of that.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Marriages shouldn't be chaos all the time. If that's the state it is in, and we thinking this is normal, it's very unhealthy.
Yeah.
It's
You have to
very
start
unhealthy.
questioning certain things then.
Yes.
And yeah, the hardest decision is to walk away. I think that, I mean, my household, my sister also is separated from her husband. My aunts, they've gone through their own challenges, so I've seen it firsthand. And within my own marriage as well, there was a time when things weren't very straight, like we say. There was a time also where I transgressed because I was looking for emotional support from outside because I wasn't communicating my own needs to my wife, and that's on me. That's my own issue that I had to deal with, not hers. And we try and shift the blame to everybody else. Oh no, it's our environment,
Yes.
it's my wife, or it's X, Y, and Z. But when you start taking accountable action upon yourself, that's when things start to change, because then you stop blaming the world for everything. You take responsibility. Yes, I struggle with taking accountability and responsibility at times. It's just the way life is. It's going to be a lifelong journey. We're not going to get it right.
Exactly.
But that's why we speak about these things now, because if you are in that moment, it's okay to not have everything figured out in life. Even if you're 50, 60, 70, doesn't matter.
Yes.
All that matters right now is that you take that opportunity to say, okay, what's one thing I can do today to begin that journey to be that person that you thought you would be maybe 30 years ago? It's never too late.
It's never too late. Like, it was the same thing for me. Like, I found comfort in somebody else. You can talk to somebody else because they're listening. I mean, it's silly things like, oh, this person let me drive their car. I couldn't drive my own husband's car. Like, you know what I mean? It's silly things that I look back at, and you find that someone is just listening to you, and you're just out there feeling like you're not heard, you're not valued, you're not.
Yeah.
And I think it also goes back to where I said, we emotionally check out of a relationship long before it's even ended. And if you aren't also able to pick that up from your partner, that is also a concern. So, you've got to constantly check in with each other. And do we have these discussions? Because for me, I'm constantly asking my boyfriend, are we at an okay pace? What is going on? Can I do things better? What is it that we can improve in our relationship? And he asks the same thing. And what I found really nice with him is every time I would come to him with something that is annoying me, he's like, okay, what can I do for you? And
Sure.
then,
That's
like,
sweet.
that is the most nicest thing. Like, I've never heard that from
That's sweet.
and it's actually something that I learned from him. And sometimes, it's not about what you can do, but I'll say to him, I'm not here for you to solve my problem, but can you just listen to me? Sometimes I just want to be heard, and sometimes I literally go to him and I say, I actually need a hug. It's been a really. And, I pick up as well with him, like, we've got other stresses in life. We've got work. Men take on a lot as well because they're stressing. He also gets panic attacks if life gets a bit too hectic. Oh, I read up about it to see how can I really help him when things do get hectic. We take on a lot of responsibility as well with family, with friends. We just those type of people. It's nice when you are a giver and you find a giver. So I think that also makes a big difference because you're not constantly giving nonstop and it's draining you. We in it together to help each other, and we actually take on a lot of problems. And sometimes we both have to say, listen, this is actually not ours to actually deal with. Like, we've got our space. We need to also realize that we need to progress in our relationship. And sometimes people need to figure it out on their own. You sit there and you're like, we need to focus on us. And we don't focus on our relationships. We too busy. And I mean, even in I think in Indian communities and even in other communities, you're not marrying your partner alone.
No, you marry it's an entire other circle.
And that's also another thing that plays a role in relationships, eh? How do you solve problems when it comes to family matters? your family, my family. I mean, for me, I find that so common in our communities where, I mean, we see it on ZTV, the mother-in-law is fighting with the daughter-in-law and
I
that
can't
kind
play.
of
I
things.
can't watch those things.
It's not the kind of things I love. I can't stand it.
I
And I
can't.
always say, how can we change that? Because how do we change all of that there? Like, that shouldn't even be it. If we're marrying into families, we've got to remember that our partners also come from families. And they come from different upbringings. The way you solve a problem in your house, the way they solve a problem is different. And sometimes we also got to step back and say, we don't know everything. So let them handle what they need to handle instead of influencing our partners and saying, actually, they're wrong in this way. They grew up, they know.
Exactly.
Like, sometimes we've got to also step back and also build that relationship. I think we don't take the opportunity to build relationships, but we're happy to jump in and judge. And so one thing that I've learned, and I've done it even when I was married, like, I get to know my in-laws. I get to know them, spend time with them, and you don't have to go. Like, the thing that we also do in relationships is we must go everywhere together. We must always be together. People can't see us apart because they're going to think we're fighting. If I come to this wedding alone, they're going to wonder, oh, my wife is at home. She's probably crying. We're having this big fight.
Because we grow up, we grow up as individuals first. We have our own likes and dislikes, and we come with, our own passions into the marriage, and you got to respect. Yeah, we fight. Us football supporters. The season comes up, and the wife's like, "Oh no, it's Premier League season now. My weekends are gone. Oh my god."
Yes, like, it's
but
all
it's just,
and that's what we grew up with. And also, like, we can't forget our family, our friends, and only concentrate on the relationship. I think sometimes also some relationships, it's like our partner must be our parents in some way or form. They must be the child that we look after. They must be the best friend. They must be the girlfriend. They must be the, everything. It's too demanding. They must be the financial supporter. They must be the person who solves all the problems. And it's too much. You've got to have friends.
Yeah.
And I think, friends, it's also nice because they're not attached to your family. They're going to understand you in a different dynamic. Then you've got to have your family. They grow up with you. They know who you are. They know. And you've then got to build your relationship with your new family. Like, I always look at in-laws not as like, in-laws separated. I'm going to get to know these people because they're going to be part of my life. And
yes,
I've got to know his upbringing. I've got to know his culture. I've got to know all of that in order for us to. And he does the same. I mean, my boyfriend's Portuguese, and his favorite things are samosas. So he loves.
good man.
And it's so, like, Portuguese people are also brought up as very family orientated. So
with cuisine and food as well, right?
Yes, food, family. Like, family is really, really big. And I mean, that was also very different in my marriage. Like, we had different values. I was very people's person. He was very introverted. Whereas my current boyfriend, we're very much people. Like, he is a bit more introverted as a man, and I'm out there. Let me get to know everybody.
There's always there's always one or the other. That's just the way it is.
Allow the one to be that way.
Yeah.
And he's like, thank God you're there. You can go sit with all the aunties. Now I don't have to sit. Or even, sometimes we go out to festivals and he's like, you can go dance with my mom. Now I don't have to.
I can show.
So, it's those kind of things. And it's really nice because you get to understand. And also with his dynamics, getting to know the family made me understand him better. Made me understand how they solve problems, what they do, and I've learned to also just say, what, sometimes, like I say to him as well, go spend time with your brother, go spend time with your father and them. Like, you don't have to always have me along, because sometimes you want to go back to your family and just have those little times. Whatever.
Yeah, emotional detachment is good because it brings you back. And I wanted to ask something. You've been within the HR industry. How did being in that industry or that career space help you understand people going forward?
Oh, wow. What a brilliant question. HR, you'll know in every organization, we the people come to complain to. So being like, I feel like I'm very much that people's person. And that's where I learned the skills. So I'm also in the learning and development space. So growing. Communication skills is what I have to train managers, emotional intelligence, conflict management, graduates. I train a lot of them. And that's where I learned these skills. And that's why we don't learn it at home. We don't learn it anywhere else. And dealing with conflict, like I have to sit in rooms where people scream at me, even at work.
You got to keep your calm HR
You
voice.
can't say anything. And remember, you can't even personalize it. You can't go in there and say, "Oh, you're such an idiot. You didn't do this right."
Do you have like a stress toy or to squeeze when you're going through, when they're screaming at you? Like, okay.
It's coming home to a home that I can just not think. And I need that alone time as well, because being around a lot of people, it just makes you very exhausted. So I do have that space where I need to go home, I need to gym, I need to read, I need to just exhale, like taking in a lot of problems. You've got to have a lot of empathy. You've got to have a lot. It's a lot. Like, a lot of people just deal with, I'm coming home to my wife, my husband, or it's just the work and the team that they deal with. Literally deal with a lot of people's problems. And being the person that I am, the way that I've learned to deal with it is I actually build a lot of good relationships. So I build good relationships. Like in workplaces, I get to know people. People know me. I know their wives. I know their husbands. I know their kids. And that makes it easy when I'm dealing with conflict, because if it's just a simple thing like saying to a person, this is not appropriate to say, or this is not appropriate to wear, they know it's coming from a good place. Like the way we speak to each other makes a big difference, the tone in my voice. And I want the person to know I'm genuinely looking out for the best for them. I'm not really, like, often enough, HR always gets I don't know, some HR people
scared.
maybe.
Yeah, like, if HR calls you, like, what did I do now?
And also, like, the perception, a lot of people perceive that HR is only for employers, so they're not gonna really help you. And I like changing that dynamic, because my job in development, in culture, in coaching is to see people grow. And so much people have potential, and so much people have so much in themselves, but it's the small skills that we're not really taught
Soft
about.
skills. Yeah.
That people call it soft skills. I call it essential skills. Because you know what? Those are the ones that you can have all the education in the world. But if you don't have that ability to communicate, to talk, to influence, you're not going to become the most successful even in business. So it's helped me a lot. It's helped me so much. Even I did a course on Gallup coaching, which is strengths coaching. So it's focused more on the positive side of life, where it talks about what talents you have. For me, some of the things that I'm really good at is building relationships, taking on responsibilities, focusing. And those things, when I coach people around, I talk about also the barriers to it. So, for example, responsibilities, you're really good at taking responsibility on. And I suppose it comes from me growing up, my dad passing away, getting out of a relationship and walking away from a divorce with absolutely nothing, building a new life up. Responsibility was very high for me. But the barrier comes in sometimes is when we start taking responsibility for a lot of things that are not ours to take on.
Yeah.
So
we all have strengths and weaknesses that we come into.
Yes.
It's about harnessing, like helping each other harness the strengths, and then helping each other also work through the weaknesses. Well, not the weaknesses, I wouldn't say weaknesses. It's
understanding how to use it in such a way that it doesn't become a barrier in our lives, but use it to the best ability. Like I always think about the fact that, aggression, anger, violence, things that we do in relationships where we call names and we personalize it. In the workplace, when your manager tells you something ugly, do you scream at them? Do you take it personal?
No.
Do you go in and now ignore them for the rest of the week? Oh no. So we do know how to do it. And funny enough, we give more respect to the manager than our wives or partners at home. So it's
Yeah.
not to say we can't, we definitely can.
Because the husband's not going to fire you.
Yeah, the husband's not going to fire you. You may not get dinner tonight, but
that's your punishment. Or your warm bed. You won't be sleeping on your warm bed. Or in your warm bed.
We do have the ability. We do have the ability to control our emotions when we need to. And I think it's the same thing in relationships. Like, we should be setting relationship goals. We should be talking about what we have in terms of the intentions for our relationships. Not to say goals can't shift, they can't change, but we should have these conversations. We should be able to give each other feedback, because it is almost that performance thing. Because how do we know what to change if we're not aware of it?
True. 100%.
Yeah. And
in that moment, in that moment, sorry to interject.
Yeah.
In that moment when we feel like we can't really communicate, one tool that really helps me is journaling or writing it down, because sometimes I'm not a wordsmith. I can't really get what I want to say out with intention. So I'll rather write it down and then present that, because then I know I'm getting what I want to say to that person in what I want to say
in a better way.
Because I fumble with my words. I promise.
Listen, Kish, sometimes ChatGPT has become my best friend. When it comes to, the very difficult conversations, like how do I word it so that I don't come across as aggressive or saying things. And then sometimes it's just a sense check. Am I taking this too personal?
Yeah.
And I've also got friends that I do that with. Like, I'm always sort of just sense checking. I've got friends that are there for over 20, 30 years now. We sort of grew up from primary, high school, and they know me. They know this, like we would say back then, the scallum in me. They know the scallum in me.
Yeah, they're like, you're not fooling anyone, Bhavisha. Don't come.
Exactly. If you've got those type of friends, you are so blessed. And I do. So I'll message a friend and say, look, this is the situation I'm going through. These are the things that I did that got backlash. Is this the old me now coming into play? Is this like, did I come across as humble, or did I come across as now I want too much in life? So it's good to sense check. There's nothing wrong with it. I think we often don't share our problems with anyone because they're going to gossip. Do
you have a WhatsApp group with them, or it's just a single message?
A single message, but we do have like what I love about the friends that we do have. We actually, when we go on holiday together, we have like a closed off session where we all vent about our relationship to each other with our partners. I'll say, oh my God.
Like a retreat couple.
Yes, we do that. We do that. And sometimes it helps so much because friends have gone through similar situations, and what's nice is I'm not doing it just with my girlfriends talking about my boyfriend and what we're doing it actually together.
Open.
It's not like he's saying this behind my back because he's already said it to me, so I know it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm saying this, and we say it with a whole bunch of friends, and we're all sitting there in the room because now we're adults and we're going to help each other with our adult problems, which I found amazing. I actually do it with cousins. Like, we pick up the phone and we talk about relationships. We talk about hard things, and sometimes Louis has to remind me, listen, we need to switch off the let's help people and motivation and that because sometimes I can get into that.
Into it. Yeah.
So, but it helps a lot to have people to bounce ideas, to journal. I actually do a good few things every single day. I have a gratitude journal. So I believe, we've got to be thankful for what we have. When I think about what I've went through after my divorce, when things happened and it was just ugly as hell, I walked away without anything. I had a zero bank balance. Some family members supported me, some didn't support me in my decision. It was heartbreak. I didn't have a place to stay. I had to figure out stuff. And literally you sit there and thoughts run to your head. Do I commit suicide? Do I ask for help, for money? And I'm one of those people that struggle to ask for help. I'm that person who's like, oh, I'll show
Oh, don't
them.
worry. I'm the same. Don't worry.
I will show
Getting
them. I will make it. And literally, I did. I made it. I used what I could from a salary, carried on educating myself. From there, literally bought my first place, and then took on responsibility for my mom as well. And after that, a year later, I bought another place. I educated myself. I think education is the best thing we can do for ourselves. And I did a postgraduate diploma. I did a master's degree. I paid for it myself and met my boyfriend, sold everything, moved with my mom to Portugal. So, you can do it on your own, but it's good to also ask for help when you need help. That was a lesson that I learned. Like, you ask for help. I was grateful in my life that when I did go through my divorce, there were family members that really didn't close the door on me.
I'm glad that happened.
Listened to me. I had a lot of support. And that was also nice. Like, we think that people are gonna, we believe in our minds because some people will tell you, oh, the society is gonna look down on you.
Yeah, that's just their own insecurities just coming up to
You brought your
it's just
father's
the way it
name
is, man.
down. It's those kind of things. And the thing is, for me, I also realized, you know what? I chose the marriage. The marriage has ended. I can't run away from the situation.
Yeah, the past can never change.
I also know in our communities, one phone call, everybody knows your stories. So, I was like, I'm facing this. My mom is not the one who's going to sit there and face it. I'm going to go to functions. I'm going to talk about it. If people want to ask questions, ask me. And I'm happy to talk about it. Like, I'm not shying away from the fact that I'm divorced. It's not something I'm ashamed of. It's something that I went through. It's something that can happen to anybody. No one gets married with the intention
Yeah, exactly. Of course.
To get divorced. You know what I mean? So that was something I didn't shy away from, and spoke to people about it, my uncles, my aunts. I didn't want to lose where I came from. I didn't want to lose the family. I
home
didn't want
is,
to
yeah.
You know
Home
what
will
I
always
mean?
be home.
It is. And I'm really grateful. My younger brother was very supportive. His wife was very supportive. My cousins, some of my cousins were going through the same thing. And we sit and we generally talk a lot about it, and that also I appreciate. Like, I could sit down with cousins and their wives, and we can talk about a lot of things. And I think we are changing as a generation, but it's the ones that are holding us back. We've got to now realize, why are we holding ourselves back? Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's not like, if someone is telling you that getting divorced is the wrong thing to do, like, I remember, Kish, you wouldn't even believe it. People telling you, no, have a kid, it's going to solve your marriage.
No, I've heard that before.
Like, it's not going to. And, person telling you, no, now you got married, put up with it. This is what you chose. And the thing is, you're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to decide, this is unhealthy and I can't do this anymore. You're not forced to stay in situations. And that's the mindset we need to get out of. Like, families, support the people when they need the support. There's two sides of a story all the time. Remember as well, this is your family at the end of the day. They're going to be there forever. The partner who they're not with is not going to be there forever. So think about all of these things. And also, if you are getting divorced, when you're going through it and when you come out of it, the focus should be on how you heal and how you grow a better person, not repeating the cycles.
That's important. Yeah, that's very important. What you mentioned right there. And, as we come towards the end of the pod, and you shared something very important there, is when you come out of a situation, it's all about the healing journey.
Yes.
It's like you got to give yourself the time to recover. Be kind to yourself. But then that's when your post therapy works. Your therapy work comes into it. Like you say, rehab. It's ugly, it's messy, it's hurtful. It's the most, they say physio is like a massage with an intense massage that you just want to run away from.
Yes, that's
it's
exactly it. It's
it's gonna
ugly.
hurt, but when it heals, everything
Exactly.
feels aligned again, and you're able to then put pressure on that wound that was there, and not feel that urge
No.
to not pick, to say I can trust it now again. Like the heart is that
You've
muscle
got to
that
trust
you
yourself. You've got to
yeah
learn to trust yourself. I think also just something that I do want to mention is, some of us recover from the divorce. Other people actually go into resentment, go
Mm.
into, the whole world has fallen apart and things get ugly, and it's just they're not moving on. So if you going through divorce, even if your relationship is going through hardship, seek the help, heal. Healing is a long process. It's not an overnight journey. Learning new skills, learning new habits, it takes a long time. Being honest with yourself is important, but getting out of resentment. Like, you're not gonna be there now stalking your ex. Go find out who they was, what they're doing. For
It's
me,
unhealthy. It's unhealthy
it's
to do
very
that.
unhealthy. Like, even if people come up to me and said, I saw your ex, and I would be like, I appreciate it. I'm praying he's in a better place. I'm hoping that he's living his life. I'm grateful. We sort of cut ties and we went our way. But that's what's needed in order to move forward. You can't go back and start. You can't go, like, the thing is, it's easy to get into resent mode and now go around bad mouthing each other and calling the worst of the worst. But it's also then a reflection of who you are then. Like, we've got to remember what we start putting out there, how we want to be seen, how we want to grow. Are we going to go back into the same cycles? Because then you're in that marriage, but you're not in the marriage. You're out of it, but you're still involving the person and you're still going into that cycle.
Yeah, the cycle, in the infinity cycle, the loop
Yes.
continues.
Yes.
But no, thank you for sharing your vulnerabilities, your journey with us, Bhavisha. I truly appreciate you taking the time to come out and chat with me today, and my listeners. I like to take a theme out of each podcast, and today the theme is communicate, love, and heal.
Definitely. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it, Kish.
You're welcome. But no, you guys know the drill. Support Bhavisha's journey. I will leave links in the description below. If you need coaching, please reach out to her. But you guys know the drill. Hit that like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment. It just helps the channel grow, and I can bring you a lot more people like Bhavisha to the show to share their experiences. But until the next one, guys, take care and stay zen. Thank you.
Thank you.